All right, so what I want to walk through here is this is an athlete who he broke his Olecranon on February 25th of 2024 of this year. We started work about March 12th. This is from that first day of work. This is March 12th, and just looking roughly at what his range is. So he initially broke it. He had it in a sling, and then we started a little bit later. So this is a little bit, or this is what we're starting at. But what I want to look at specifically is going to be what we did for his tricep extension or for his elbow extension, because he was having some specific issues. As we worked back in rehab, like you'll see right here, this is the first video, the first day that we had. This is on the 13th of what he had in terms of like when he put the actual force on the tricep, because you'll see here when he's working and it's more like force on the bicep, the range is pretty good. But then when he goes here and the tricep is asked to handle more, even though it's just gravity and there's no weight, like when the tricep is asked to handle more, there's not that much, or there's not nearly as much range there in flexion. And I'll see this fairly often with those who are having like issues with Olecranon or kind of around that area. So that was the 13th. And that's the biggest thing that I want to cover in terms of what we did to address that. This was a day later on the 14th. We asked him to load some things. And again, this is when he's going into doing that tricep extension, like there's not that much range showing up. So next day, or that was on the 14th. This is actually on the 18th. And what I wanted to show here was, let's see, we had specifically the session of what we did. So we have the second one-way elbow is the one where he's laying down like that, right? And so you can see in the session that we did, we had him repeat it 5 times, and within each session, he did 3 sets of 100 reps of that second one-way elbow on both arms. So that's 300 reps per session, 5 sessions in a day. That's 1,500 total reps. And so, like this was, again, if we go back, roughly the range that he had on the 14th, and then we took some time to actually hit it with high volume. And it's not saying that high volume is the answer. I'm just showing what we personally did in this case, and you can see that the range has actually opened up quite a bit. And he said, like, feels like he's moving a little bit faster as well. So that was on the 18th. This is now on the 20th. And we have, this time we're adding, same move here, but we're adding a 1 pound weight. So you can see here he's holding 1 pound plows. Still going pretty slow here, but it's through full range. It's through much more range than he had before. Next day here is going to be the 20th. And you can see, the reason that I wanted to show this one is it's significantly opened up, because if we go back, like that's the 20th, so this would be 18th, 14th, 13th here. If we go back to this one on the 13th, so this is just a week earlier, and we can see just the range there is not good at all with that tricep in terms of like getting past 90. So this is just a week later, 14th, 18th, 20th, just a week later. Now here's what he has, and in that time, we did a lot of the high volume work with this specific move, as well as others as well, but it's mostly like with this one and kind of supporting with all the others. So good example of how quickly things can change if we attack it well. This is on the 21st, I believe. So point that I wanted to show here is, because this is just a picture. So because this is how I think about the rehab process, right? Is after he started being able to show more range, now we're going to start to actually load it a little bit more. So I mostly wanted to show the exercise here where we're doing like a push-up hold at the top, we're doing a hang, we're doing a deep inverted dip, as well as some upper body joint moves there. But once that full range starts to express, then we're going to start to ask it to add a little bit of load, and you can see in his feedback here. Push-up was good, 3 minutes, split up into 2 sets of 90. So he's handling it pretty well, which is good to see there. This is another look at just the difference. This to me looks like it's back at 100%. Like this day was pretty good, and then this day it looks like it's that elbow flexion, even when there's force on the tricep, is back to full range there. And I believe that this was the 20th or the 21st. Same thing here. I think there we were going for speed. So basically, like once that full range returns, then we might do some rapid rep type stuff, which is more of like what he's doing here, where he's going as fast as he can. Another way to add load to the system. And then this was looking at some of the impulses that we started to do. So again, once that full range starts to return, we're going to start to load it a little bit. We're going to start to add a little bit of force. So this is the first day that we did any impulse. And I wanted to put this in here to show like, what I put up as impulses when I'm fully healthy might be completely different than what we do in a rehab scenario like this. Like you can see, there isn't that much force going into it. It's not really actually an impulse. It's more like a slight impulse into a 3-second overcoming ISO. And so this is an example of how we'll start to work those in, where it's not like he's just absolutely going crazy on the impulses, but he's using them in a way that his body is ready to handle. And so we start to work these in after that full range has returned from the work that we did earlier. This is then the first time that we really started to, not the first time that we really started to load it, but where it was like, I think what I worded it here was work up to like 2 sets of 5 or so with as heavy as you can or feel good with, versus before it'd be like sets of 50 reps or something. So this is really the first day that we started to do that. And you can see there in the tricep moves, he's doing 20 pounds. This was somewhere around like the 25th, 27th-ish of March. So it's really not that long. It's like 12th to 19th. It's probably a little under 2 weeks under that initial video where we saw he didn't have, or he could pretty much get to like 90 on the tricep extension. So it's progressing pretty well, moving pretty well. But again, we don't really waste any time or put any lag time between like, okay, his range is showing up, we'll carry it out for a little bit, and then we're gonna start to load it. And that's what we saw with like the holds, with the push-ups at the top, the hang and all that stuff, and then as well as the impulses, and then loading it here actually with weight. And then here's just a good example of, again, he's able to take, specifically with the elbow there, he's able to take a pretty good amount of impulse there. So even with impulses, we progress them fairly quickly as long as his body likes it. So that first day we went a little bit slower. Here he's obviously going pretty well with them. And then these last two, I believe that these are more similar no, actually this one was the 30th. No, this one was the second or third of March, and this is just looking at, okay, so basically his range is returning, he's starting to get better, he's able to add more force, more load to it, so now we're going to start to expand the stuff that we throw at him a little bit, because at the start it was mostly joint moves, joint holds, light impulses, and now we're starting to hit it from different angles, doing different things, adding a little bit more load. Again, this is like a barbell hold overhead where he's trying to pull it back behind him, so we're starting to add a little bit more into the puzzle than just like simple joint moves and that type of work once he shows that he's able to return range and accept force. And then these are the last couple days, or these last two are going to be in the last few days, and just showing like, okay, once he's got that full range and everything, now we're going to pretty much start training him as if he is fully healthy while still biasing the rehab a little bit. But now we're looking to get him actually back to being able to handle high amounts of force globally. So there, and then here's a wall sit where he did 295. So this is like 155 overhead. I think this is about a month and a half after we first started, and then this is a barbell loaded wall sit with 295, and again, it's about a month and a half after we first started. And he's looking at, he was cleared to throw early March, like March 1st or so, and then we're looking at having him start to throw, May 1st, and we're looking at him having to start to throw May 6th, so coming up here in a couple days. But this is kind of what we want to get to before we have him start to throw, is he's able to represent everything in the training at a high level outside of just like range and a little bit of force. Like, okay, let's get you back to where you were and then a little bit better than you were before we start to throw. And this is just his feedback that he provided. At the end, this was like a day or maybe 3 or 4 days ago, just in terms of how he responded to the training. But biggest thing that I wanted to show there is just a practical example of, specifically with Olecranon or with tricep issues, a way that we can attack it and the results that we get with that.